let's do the candles. Okay, now I love doing candles. They're very easy to do, and you get them looking very real very quickly. I'm going to grab one of these shelves and just isolate that, Alt Q. Just go top view and press Z. All I'm trying to do is get the candles in place and get them into the right position and the right size. There's no reason to keep the UV and the unwrap and the edit poly on top, so I'm just going to collapse this to an edit poly, and that will collapse all of them. Alright, I'm going to go Alt W to make this full screen, and I'm going to come in. I want to do a box. And the reason I'm doing a box is very simply, like, let's say this is too high for the candle, right? But I'm just going to show you. Let's say we add the turbo smooth on, and we add on a bunch of iterations and go to the top view. See, it's almost spherical. If I come here to the box and I make this length, well, let's make it about 60 centimeters. So I'm going to go 6 centimeters. So we do that. We can actually make it 7, can't we? 7 or 8. And now if I turn this on, see how it's almost perfect? It's not quite. Like if I get a cylinder and compare it to a cylinder, or if I put a circle, you see how this edge, let's get it so it touches. That edge touches, up here touches, and out here is out a little bit. So it is out a bit, and what I'll generally do is I'll put on an FFD, but I'll go 3 by 3, and then go into control points, and I can select these, and just do this, press R, bring in the scale tool and just scale this in, and then if needed select these other ones and scale these out. So basically at this point I'm just eyeballing it just to get these correct. It's much more like a circle. Again, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. We're just trying to get it looking good. And the reason I've got a box is because I want Turbo Smooth to work well, and Turbo Smooth likes quads, and a cylinder does not have quads in it. And I know that's not the shape for a candle, so you can just turn this off, come into box mode. This is way too high, so let's bring this down. And we're going to be putting this on the shelf, so it's going to be something like that. And then if I go top view, Z, where do I want it? It sort of depends on the camera. I'm going to stick it here, but I'll probably be changing that later. And then what you want to do, just go front view, and I'm going to put an edit poly, just go into subobject mode edge, and just come across, select these, click on connect, and I'm going to connect this by 2, and I'm just going to, oops, wrong one, and I'm just going to go pinch it and pinch it like this. And what this will do is, now when you put the Turbo Smooth on, you see? Ta-da! It's more correct shape. Now still, I don't like these rounded corners, so we're going to handle that as well. So we're just going to come in and just select the bottom one. And I'm going to click on bevel. And basically what I'm doing is, I use this normally for outline and extrudes. I normally use bevel rather than clicking on outline and extrude. And I'm going to outline this in. And I can just do -1, should be fine, I think. And now, that should be nice and pretty sharp at the bottom. See? So now we're going to worry about the top. And the reason I did it differently is because this is, I'm going to make this the candle as well, actually. Okay, I'm going to put another edit poly on top here, just in case I want to come around and edit this further for the candle. And polygon here. And I need to come in. Let's do bevel again. So this is why I use this rather than going into extrude and outline, because if I do that I've got to outline it, then extrude it, then, you know, or outline it 3 times. It's just easier to do it all in one go. So I'm going to come in -1 and then click again. Now this is done 3, that's fine, that's actually what I want. And then I'm going to come, I'm going to click that one more time and then 0 that off, and that's obviously push that back. Then I'm going to come down -1. And that's obviously it's gone 2 because it's done 1, and then because I clicked plus, so it's done that again. And then I'm just going to come all the way down. I can click on the, oops, I didn't mean to do that, undo that. Click on yes. I just wanted to come down the 1. That's good. Go front view, and I'm just going to drag this down now to about here. And then I'm going to click bevel again. I want to come back down another 1, and then I want to come in 1. So that's good. Click on there, 0 that out, and make this -1. Okay, so that's my glass tube. That's my glass container for the candle. See? And it doesn't have to be 4, I think 3 is good enough. I mean, you can drop it to 2, but you see what happens with 2. And that's the reason we have so many iterations is because because of my box modeling into a candle. It's going from a box all the way to this, so you can put it at 4 if you want. If you're concerned, because there's way too much geometry on the top. This whole thing has just too much geometry in it, so I press Alt-Q to isolate it. And what you can do if you want, like I don't really want to come in here. I could get rid of one of these, but I like this sharp edge on the top. So I'd rather put an edit poly on the top and then go into edge mode and then just double click this guy so we get, it's gone all the way around. And then up here you have this great option. So if you click ring, you get every other one there. You can go modify, and this is set to 1. So you can change that to 2 or 3. If you set it to 2 and you undo what I've done and you click it, it'll be like that. Okay, that's great. So it's selected 2. And then I can just click Control, Remove. And it takes a minute to think, and it's gotten rid of a whole load of geometry. I actually didn't want it to get rid of the geometry on the bottom. Oh boy. So you undo that, top view, F3, just say ignore back facing. So you can do the bottom separately, Let's just have another look at this. Yeah, because there's other stuff going on there. Okay. So we can just do that. I'm just deselecting this because I want this geometry to stay here. Basically, I want my model to still be quads. And the only reason I'm doing quads, I just think it's neat to modeling. If I was in a rush, I would never do this. Like, I would probably delete the extra geometry, because with a lot of these, and I'm going to be putting like 30 or 40 or 50 of these in the scene, I don't want to have a ton of geometry. But if I'm in a rush, then I'm going to press V in bottom view. If I'm in a rush, then I don't have time for niceties and to make it perfect, You're just trying to get something out quick. So I'm definitely guilty of, cutting corners. I think we all have to, if you know what's important, then you know where you can cut corners. And this is something which is definitely not needed, but also something I'm doing just to keep the model nice and neat. So if I'm presenting this as a model to someone else and someone else is using it, then I would definitely do this. Even if, well, unless they told me specifically that time was a factor, then I wouldn't do it. I would just send it to them and I'd say, well, you said time's a factor, so that's why you've not got quads. But if I want it to look professional, then I want to keep the quads in. I think it always comes down with when you're doing any art, you're always looking at, well, what is necessary and what isn't necessary, and deselecting those and keeping those is not absolutely necessary. Control, remove, but it does make it look neater, you see? And you can go further. You can take out another one of these edges if you want. You can also just come up here, because see, this is still really quite a lot of geometry going on. I can leave those 3 in there for the edge. I can just come in here. Like, this is not needed. And I think that's good. And then just do Control, Remove. So, whenever you're doing modeling, whenever you're working in Max, it's also a lot about, same with these down here, like, I don't need all of these. I don't actually need any of these. I don't need these at all. Because in theory it's a straight line. And then Control, Remove. So I'm just showing you ways here of cleaning up your mesh, because often you'll get people, and like, we can check this, right? I'll show you. This is just so you get the idea. I was working on a mesh the other day, and or working on a model, and I just got models from other people and threw them in there, and I had a bracelet that had 1 million polygons, over 1 million polygons. It was like 1.2 million or something. And I didn't have time to do this, so I just literally came in and I just Pro Optimize, or I was using Optimize, and I was just, ripping this mesh apart. And it looks like a mess, but it works. So if you come here, click on here, Configure Viewports, let's look at statistics, and we want to see them total and selection. Make sure you click Show Statistics in Active View. Click apply. Okay. Alright, so we've got this whole scene right now does not have a lot of polys in it, and does not have a lot of verts. So this is 2,752 polys, and 2,754 verts. And if I turn this off, see, it goes up to 23,000. So basically by doing this, I've taken it down like 90%, and my mesh still looks fine. And this is a workable mesh. And so there's no reason to have all those extra verts in. Now you imagine I'm going to have this, what did I say, 20, 30, 40 times in the scene. So, 30 times 23, 40 times 23, and 30, 40 times this. These are very different amounts. It's going to be my glass frame for the candle, and I'm sure I'll be bringing that down because it looks super, super tall. Let's just come in here, take this. Oops, I've got back face, see these? See all these blue verts? I've still got to ignore back facing on, so let's select them again. And then just drag that down to where I want it. I want it to look something like that. That's good for the candle. I'm always going to scale this afterwards. And then let's just clone this. And we're going to do a copy. Okay, and now I'm making the actual candle. So I'm just thinking of the best way of doing this. I'm going to turn this off, turn this off, turn this off. Come in here. So I want it inside the candle, not on the outside. So I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to click grow a couple of times. And then I can delete those. And then I come into border mode, just select the border, right click, cap that. Actually not cap it, I'm going to press F3. I'm going to go into scale, press shift and scale this in. And so now, I get this extra edge here on the inside. Sorry, stay in border mode and then right click and cap. And now I need to just select all of the polys. So just go polys, Control A, because this is inverted. And you see how you can see here from the colors and from the blackness. But this is inverted because it was inside the cylinder. My modeling was done from the inside of the cylinder, so that was expected. Alright, so now I've got my edit poly on. And we can put the turbo smooth on. And then we can put the FFD on. I can't put on that edit poly at the top. This is going to have to be deleted. If I turn this on, it's going to look really weird. See? And that's because the edges have numbers assigned. So it's going, okay, these numbers, these edges have all been removed. But obviously now these are different edge numbers. So it's just a mess. All right, let's come out of this. Press F3. I want to grab the candle and the glass. Let's go back to the candle. Turn these off. Come to edit poly. Bring this down. Where do we want this? I want it something like that. And we're going to have a wick. And we're going to have a flame. So turn turbo smooth on. Go top view. This FFD is going to have to be on. Okay, now what I don't want, and it's going to seem contradictory to what I just did, is I don't want these to be in exactly the same place as the polys. Because if they are, we're going to get weird geometric issues. One of the issues with Max is two polygons, if you're rendering, they can't be on the same surface. If they are, you're going to get, it's the same law that exists in the universe of two objects can occupy the same space. If you have two objects on the same plane or on the same space in Max, it's going to might render out black, might render out with weird lines. It's going to have problems. And we can make this smaller, and then you won't have problems, or we can make it bigger. And because we're going to have glass assigned here to this material, and you're going to be seeing in it, if I bring this inside, you're going to get an oddity with the glass where it renders, you see perfectly through here, and then this object sits inside it. And if I bring it just out a little, I want it to go through the bottom as well, so I'm going to bring this up to like 102 is fine. I was looking down here when I said 102. If I bring it out, then when you come through here, you're going to get the refraction occurring on this. And it's going to look like this is poured out into the glass. But in reality, that's exactly how it would operate. Let's bring this down. Actually, let's push this up. Let's turn it off for now. Turbo smooth. I want this to come down like that for now. Now, I'm trying to make the top of this candle vert mode, just like these guys up here. Alright. And then I can put a noise on. I just want it on the z-axis, so let's try 100. And that's because the scale's so high, so let's try this down to 20. And 100 I intentionally did, I knew it was too much. I just wanted to see what I'm doing. You know, if I had set this down to, let's say I go, oh, well, I know the scale 100 is too much. And I go, well, what's correct? I don't know. Let's try 3. Then I come down and it's like, well, you know what I mean? I'm trying to mess and trying to fix this. So if I push it too much, that's always the way I work. If I push it too much, sorry, if I push this one too much, then I can always see what it is. I can always scale it back. If I go too little, then it's harder to do that. So let's bring the scale down. I can see what I'm doing clearly. I can bring this down. So the idea is I'm going to put another turbo smooth on top of this. Let's try and go up actually. No. There. I think that's good. So let's put an edit poly on top. And the cool thing is I can come in and adjust this afterwards. See, I can put another turbo smooth on. And then I can come in and adjust this noise. If I press this guy, you can see what its final result is. So that's my candle. And that's the wax doing its weird stuff. And you can always adjust this if you want, you know, change your noise, make your noise slightly different, but this is just an example. We've got 2,816 polys here. I'm going to collapse this to edit poly. Oh, it goes to an edit mesh. Let's put an edit poly on. Oh, let's turn on this FFD because I want that on. Let's just go top view so we can just make sure this is doing what it should be doing. Yes, it is. Put an edit poly on top. Collapse. Again, we've got lots of extra geometry here. I'm just going to get rid of some of it because even though I don't mind this amount, there's these numbers, I kind of want to put on another turbo smooth on the top. And to do that, I want to get rid of the excess geometry here that isn't needed. And I'm just going to click Control and remove. Look how much the geometry has come down by. Put another turbo smooth on. And see how much it's jumped here now. Could probably have gotten rid of some of that in the bottom actually. Go 2. Let's bring this, bring this. I'm going to leave that as is. Do Control remove. And then put that turbo smooth back on. And that's come down by over 3,000 polys just doing that. Let's put an edit poly on and collapse that. Okay. Go into front view and we're going to do the wick. And the wick's just a spline. And I'm literally just going to go like that. And go top view. You can't see it if I press that. Rendering, enable, generate real worlds, and do, let's put it at 2. Just press Z. Okay, there it is. And I'm just zooming out. I can do a line, but I'm just going to drag this over. Okay. And then just come here, subobject. 2 is probably too much. Let's go drop that thickness back down to 1. Just go subobject mode. Just go, I'm here on sides. Just press escape, get out of that. Press 1 to go into vertex mode, Control A, right click, and I'm going to make these smooth. And then just take these and just move them a bit. And if you want, you know, you can always straighten it a bit. If it's a bit off and you think, well, wicks normally stick kind of up, that's good. So that's the candle. And then what we're going to need for the flame, we literally just need a plane. And the planes are going to have to be maybe rotated a little bit. But it's going to be something like that. And there's no reason to have these segments in there. And that's going to be way off there. So let's just align this to here. And see, it thinks Y is up here. So I think if I turn that off, yeah, it's going to bring that correct position. So now we've got X and Z, that's good. Click OK. And so it's in the right place. So this is going to be for the flame. This is going to be for the wick, the wax, and the glass. Let's just name these. Let's collapse this, collapse it to edit poly. Now, one of the reasons I like to collapse things, whenever I load up Max, it goes, okay, it has to remember there's a box and the details of that. It has to remember there's an edit poly. It has to remember there's this edit poly and what it did. It has to remember there's turbo smooth and what that did, what this FFD is, and what this is. So when I'm loading in this model, I'm actually loading a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models. And that's not necessary. So if I collapse it to this, it makes it easier on Max. Now it just has to remember this one model and not all of the others. So that's why I like to have things collapsed. And sometimes I'll come through. Sometimes I'll forget, sure. But I like to come through and just make sure it's done. And then group it, and call it candle. Oops. And I'm going to open it and just give names to these. This is glass for candle. This is candle wax. Candle wick. Like John Wick. Candle flame. Since everything's called candle at the beginning, we're just going to change this and put candle glass. Okay. Group close.